Welcome to episode number 262 of the UFO Buster Radio Report. This is your host, Manny Moonraker. Yes, that is I. And I just want to give out a special thanks to the folks who actually viewed the Facebook collection of SpaceX and Blue Origin videos that was put out in the wee hours of the early morning just yesterday, or actually today, honestly. Started as a thought yesterday, I guess, and ran into today. And yeah, there's been a lot of views. We're talking thousands. We might hit 20K in views just because I decided to sit around and watch some SpaceX with folks. But that's what it's all about, right? We've got to stay on top of this whole SpaceX situation. And in there, in that specific queue of videos, we also had some Blue Origin in there too. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. But if you didn't follow me on Facebook, pages Manny Moonraker and UFO Buster Radio, or the Twitters, which again, today I reached a milestone on Twitter. Thanks to all you guys on Twitter. But if you didn't follow me on that Twitter, UFO Buster Radio, you wouldn't know that the Moonraker is more than just the podcast, which does not happen on any regular schedule. So you got to keep up with me. You have to keep up with me and find me on social media. Like, share, subscribe, not just to this podcast, but to everything else. That's the only way you're going to be apprised of the situation, of what's going on. Now, before we get into this news report today, because some of you like this topic, some of you live to hear about this kind of stuff. Like literally, you will sit there behind a speaker and some headsets and argue with people about a certain paradox. Yeah, I said it. Or another equation by some dude named Drake that is not, or did not, sing to Kiki. It's a different Drake. A Drake from back in the day. And he had an equation. But before we start that, I just got to make an announcement because I've reached the pinnacle of exposure. And I'm not talking about trench coats either. Now, you guys know this music. I kind of like it. I like the whistling too. It's pretty cute. It's called the Babushka. The Babushka song, Sight of Wonders. And those wonders are UFO Buster Radio. And the fact that as of last week, UFO Buster Radio has literally penetrated Russia. That's right, we have listeners from Russia listening right now. I don't know any Russian words other than Vesvedanya. That's about it. I don't, nothing else. But hey, I welcome you guys to the UFO Buster Radio family. Don't get upset if I said the U.S. too much. I don't want any radioactivity in my food. But thank you for coming aboard. And if you decide to call the podcast, let me know. We can arrange it through Skypes. And we'll have a little dialogue about what's happening in Russia when it comes to UFOs. And we can talk about what the Kremlin might know about UFOs. And I don't want to get anybody killed. Let me just say that. You know, it's hardcore over there. So I don't want anyone to die just because they're listening to UFO Buster Radio. But if you find yourself in that situation, please YouTube it. Send me a video. I want to know what's going down. I'll share your story. I'll tell it. I'm not afraid. Not afraid at all. Let's get to the story for you guys who are waiting for the paradox situation. One moment, please. That's right. We have an article here that came through the folks at Fox News because, they've got to touch upon this story every once in a while. And honestly, there really wasn't anything else to talk about until I saw this. It actually broke a few hours ago on the website, Fox News. And the title of the article is Alien Civilization May Have Explored the Milky Way and Visited Earth Already, New Study Claims. Right. Now, don't get all excited if you've been probed a few times, because what it's saying is that they were tripping the light fantastic on vacation. They already passed by. Nothing to see here, folks. Just keep it moving. They kept on going. Literally, that is the gist of the study. You don't see fucking aliens on the news because they already passed by. There was nothing fascinating here to see. So they continued on their merry way, just, trying to figure out what else there is in the Milky Way. Yeah, I just summed it up for you. You don't need to go look for it. It's done. That's the end of the report. We're good. The study was published last month in the Astronomical Journal, and it says basically, E.T. is exploring the entire galaxy. So they don't have two fucking fucks of a time to come back to go places they've already been because the galaxy is that damn big. So it's very possible that at one time, when we were still in the primordial soup, all gooey and shit, barely crawling out of it to become monkeys eventually, that's when they probably came by and just weren't interested in all that shit. That was like, God, this place is disgusting. Let's get the fuck up out of here. Yeah, and on the way out, they dropped a nuclear bomb on Mars, took out those fuckers, because that's what we have left now, and decided to just leave. It's all over. A lot of this is a response to the Fermi paradox, right? Because the paradox is asking the question, where the hell are they? Why is it that we have not detected signs of alien life? Of course, most of you, and a majority of you who follow UFOs for a while, know that Enrico Fermi said something to the effect at one time when he's hanging out with his physicist buddies. He said, but where is everybody? And even that's kind of iffy. No one really knows exactly what he said, but that's the gist of it. And the possibility is that they're hopping around. They're not sticking around. Now, you take all the people that say that they've been abducted, taken to other planets, probed, had their cattle mutilated, and see stuff in the air. Those folks don't think that this has happened at all, that they decided to just stop by like it was a port of call for Carnival Cruise Lines and decided to I'm just going to keep on going to the next port because this port is it's not worth it. Somebody stole my money. Now here's a quote from the study, or one of the authors actually of the study. If you don't account for motion of stars when you try to solve this problem, you're basically left with one of two solutions. And this is Jonathan Caro Nellenbach, and he's the computational scientist and the study's lead author. And he told Business Insider, which is it's up there with not being such a great publication, but he told them either nobody leaves their planet, or we are in fact the only technological civilization in the galaxy. Wouldn't that really be the easy way out, to think that a galaxy so vast that we would be the only tech junkies in the neighborhood? And if that's the case, wouldn't everyone be leaving their planet if we in fact were not the only tech junkies? Wouldn't everyone want to leave their planet? The arguments here are just a little crazy. I don't get it. But, basically what the study is saying is that basically, aliens are zipping around the galaxy. They don't have time to go to any destination for too long a time. They're out to explore, kind of like Captain Picard and the crew of the Enterprise. They're boldly going where they're not going to go back to again. So forget about it. So there's some other things here that I ran into because we all know the Fermi paradox. Get it? I know most of you do. But then there's Drake's equation, right? So Frank Drake in 1961, he tried to kind of explain systematically, how do you evaluate all the freaking possibilities, all the numbers involved with the existence of life? How do you put all that shit together? That's a lot of fucking numbers for 1961. And here's one thing. 1961, at that point in time, Frank Drake did not know that we were going to have space telescopes capable of finding thousands and thousands of planets in the Goldilocks zones of different solar systems. He had no clue that was going to happen. So in his equation, there's a lot of things missing. But people still want to use it as a catalyst for their argument that the shit's not going to happen. It hasn't been happening. So why even bother? We can't figure it out. It's just not going to happen. Here are some of the things that the equation considers, right? The rate of star formation in a galaxy. Whoa. That alone could probably blow anyone's mind. The fraction of stars with planets. And at that point, like I said, Drake had no fucking clue. He couldn't even buy a clue in 1961. The number of planets per star that are habitable. I just said that like 5 minutes ago. These are things that he was putting together, and while they make a great foundation, he had no clue. The fraction of those planets that develop life, ain't no way to figure that shit out. The fraction that develop intelligent life, well, you got to be there to believe it, right? So, again, how the fuck are you going to know when a lot of these places are billions of light years away? The fraction that have detectable technological intelligent life, and finally, the length of time such communicable civilizations are detectable. The last sentence in this here, it's perfect because it says the fundamental problem is that the last four terms that Drake put together, that's my New York accent, together, that Drake put together in his equation are completely unknown, which means it is statistically impossible to even solve for it because we don't know shit, and neither did Drake. But people want to use that. They want to use it as a way to, kind of give validity to Fermi's paradox. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a regular blue-collar guy who just doesn't get this situation. But both things really can't be proved. They can't be proven. They can't be really worked to the point where the paradox and the equation makes sense to anybody. They're always going to leave that fine line in the middle of the road where folks on either side of the topic are not going to cross it because they believe they are correct. I say throw them both out. Clearly, Drake's equation is not going to help anyone on either side of the fence. And Fermi's paradox, he probably had too many mimosas that day. He was drunk off his fucking mind. That's why he was wondering where it was at. He was probably talking about the restroom. He had to go take a tinkle. This is UFO Buster Radio. These are things for you guys to think about. Again, some of the old things that we have struggled with from the beginning of this question since we started using science about life elsewhere. The waters have been muddied in such an amazing way that we use these things, these theories, to attack the one question we still cannot answer, and that is, where is life elsewhere? How do we find it? And is there something out there for us to know about? Because I'm telling you, if we can drop a few thousand troglodytes on the damn moon, and if they survive and they live, what's to say there isn't life anywhere else? Stop lying to yourselves. It's a real thing. This is the UFO Buster Radio. Manny Moorika, I'm checking out. Until next time, when we find some other fucking theory we can shoot down, just for the fuck's sake, just because we can do it. We'll put it on the goddamn resume if we need to. Send it to Elon Musk, because we want to blow up Mars too. Ciao. Too much about going insane.